Hi, I'm Katrina, and I'm going to talk about key partnerships and the importance of forging alliances across disconnected domains in order to create a thriving business model, specifically within urban agriculture. It's a bit ironic because I haven't myself created a thriving business model yet, but I'm the founder of Herbanus, which is an herb growing association at Losetter, the urban farm in Bjørvika. And Urbanist started in 2016 when we created an herb garden from scratch together with a group of volunteers. You can see it here. And we've been growing many different types of medicinal and culinary herbs that we've been drying at Nabolagshager in a drying room that we built there. And we make products, salves, teas, and spices that we've been selling at Christmas markets and local markets in order to raise funds for the association. And as I said, we are an aspiring social business, but we have had a bit of a hiatus in the last 2 years due to the fact that I've been working in the municipality in different roles, also within urban agriculture. So last year, I worked as a campaign coordinator for the Agency for Urban Environment, campaigning for urban agriculture for the Environmental Green Capital Year. And then this last season, I've been working also for the Agency for Urban Environment in a different section, working as a seasonal worker at Losetter. But my interest in urban agriculture started with my academic research. So the reason I've been asked to speak here is because of the fact that I have had many different roles within urban agriculture. So I'm going to talk a bit about these roles and how they can intersect to create partnerships that will increase the chances of success for a successful business. So while I was living in England, I wrote a master's thesis on the roots and the revival of urban agriculture in London. And what I did was I compared the historical motives for growing food in the city with the new motives for growing food in the city. And what I found was that historically, growing food in the city was an important form of livelihood for poor populations and a necessity, and also a form of food provision during times of crisis. In many cities in the world, it still serves this function. However, in cities like London, growing food has many other purposes than food provision. And the motives for growing food are very different. So I just wanted to share the conclusion I came to, which was a very important realization for me in the beginning of my journey within urban agriculture, and that was the following: that urban agriculture is growing much more than food. It is growing social meeting places for integration, education, and therapeutic purposes. It is growing a greener city, biodiversity, and other ecosystem services, and ideally, alternative economic platforms that can create jobs and local food supply chains. So it is the ability of urban agriculture to address many diverse social, environmental, and economic issues at the same time, which makes it such an effective tool for sustainable urban development, and also opens up an array of potential partnerships. So the trick lies in finding the balance and the right partners to fit into an economically sustainable model. And all of the people and the projects I interviewed during this research were completely dependent on the partnerships they had, and none of them were economically self-sufficient. So especially during the initial phases of a business startup, partnerships are extremely important. So when I returned to Oslo, I continued my academic research at the Center for Environment and Development at the University of Oslo. And I was curious to find economically sustainable models and entrepreneurs that had created jobs within urban agriculture. So this brought me to Gothenburg during my research for my thesis, where I discovered a movement of commercial growers who had formed partnerships with the municipality in order to achieve their goals of creating a job within urban agriculture. So the municipality of Gothenburg has been supporting growing projects by making land available and providing infrastructure and funding for those who want to grow commercially. And this is a great partnership because the municipality is achieving their own goals and their own tasks of creating a greener city by making these empty plots available for these projects. They're also creating opportunities for circular economy and improving the biodiversity and the aesthetics of the city in general. While the growers, on the other hand, have a push and a boost in their initial phase of their business creation. And these growers were also forming other partnerships with restaurants and other selling platforms. So there are partnerships and collaborations on many levels. So this is when I also realized a second important lesson in urban agriculture, and that is that collaboration and co-creation between diverse actors can increase the success and sustainability of a project. The city of Oslo is also working in a similar manner to facilitate urban agricultural activities in Oslo. And it was my job as a campaign coordinator last year for the Environmental Green Capital to promote this work and to forge a stronger bond between the municipality's work, entrepreneurs, and grassroots initiatives within the movement. And the highlight of the campaign was a traveling exhibition that was created in collaboration with Makers Hub. Makers Hub is a grassroots organization that works with user participation and community engagement to create social meeting places. So it was because of this partnership that we were able to make this exhibition. Makers Hub and their volunteers built this stabbur, which is a traditional farmhouse where farmers store stored grains and other food items for the winter. So this is a modern stabbur that has information and the history of urban agriculture. And this exhibition was moved to 8 different locations in Oslo, showcasing urban agriculture projects through workshops and courses and pop-up dinners. And along the way, it collected and harvested food items from different gardens and farms and projects to take with it along the way. And all of these items were eaten at the last dinner in front of the city hall. So this project is an example of something that happened that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this partnership, and where the municipality worked together with a grassroots entrepreneur to achieve a common goal. So the municipality has a strategy for urban agriculture up until the year 2030, and they have 5 main goals which are the following. To promote a greener city, local food production, green social meeting places, green educational platforms, and a collaborative, innovative city. So the city aims to facilitate the activation of these goals, but this achievement is dependent on collaboration and participation with those working practically and literally in the field. So now is a good time for those of us who want to create green jobs within urban agriculture to experiment with these ideas. One example of a project that is merging these 3 different roles I've had within urban agriculture is Linderud Gård, Linderud Farm, which is an old farm that has been inactive for many years, but has recently been revived through a collaboration with the municipality of Oslo, an international research project called Edible Cities Network, and local entrepreneurs. So local entrepreneurs have the opportunity to try out their commercial growing projects there. Lusetter is also a project that is funded by the municipality, and it is the agency for urban environment that hired the city farmer and the seasonal workers. So working as a seasonal worker this last season made me realize how important these roles are for facilitating the volunteers and engaging the community in the project, because Lusetter is a project that is very dependent on community engagement. It is not a space for commercial growers because all of the produce that is grown there is eaten at the Wednesday dinners. However, there are opportunities to collaborate as an entrepreneur to activate the space and fill it with courses, events, and other activities to keep the place alive and engaging for the public. So Lusetter has been a very important partner for Herbanists, for example, and we've had many courses and events there. Having said that, I just wanted to round up this presentation by mentioning a couple of the pitfalls that Herbanists has had in our previous attempt to create a business. And it is precisely the lack of strong partnerships. The most important partner is your business partner or partners. You should be more than one person, because one person cannot be a farmer, a social worker, an accountant, a delivery man, and at the same time promote and market for the business. It might work for a while, but eventually you'll get burnt out. I recommend finding a partner or partners who share your vision and who you can share the weight of the workload with and motivate each other. Also, since there are so many possibilities within urban agriculture, it's easy to try and do too many things at one time, and then you end up not doing so much at all. So I would recommend choosing your partnerships wisely, depending on the product or service you are selling, depending on the value proposition, and depending on the customer target group. So I hope that some of these experiences I've shared with you all today and the different perspectives I've had working within urban agriculture can provide some insight into how collaboration and alliances between diverse actors can contribute to the creation of sustainable business models within urban agriculture. I'm looking forward to the next growing season and to seeing what will emerge, and wishing you all the best of luck. Thank you for listening.